Hello and welcome to Tech Help. My name is Dave, and today we are talking about drivers and how you can fix common driver problems that might occur on your Windows PC. So the first thing I want to do is give the definition of a driver, because some of you might not know what that is. And a driver is according to Microsoft.com, is a software component that lets the operating system and a device communicate with each other. So something like your mouse or your keyboard or your monitor, all these have drivers associated with them. They're pieces of software that allow these devices to plug and play and interact with your system itself. And all those pieces have to be installed correctly, or the device, that's the peripheral that's connected, will not work very well. And there's drivers for lots of things, and I will show you where to get a hold of those in just a second here. So the first thing that you should know when it comes to drivers is that sometimes the obvious fix is the easiest fix. Okay, so the first thing you should always try is just right-clicking on the Start menu and hitting just a quick restart. And sometimes the restart will fix. I've had it fix issues before, like it just randomly fixed, the headset that wouldn't connect, or the just the driver for the mouse that wouldn't sync up. Sometimes that will work. Okay. The next thing you should try is, if you can get online, assuming the driver issue is not an internet driver issue, then you should hit check for updates into Cortana, type check for updates, and then go through the latest Windows update and get your update. However, this could be a problem if you are trying to do a driver for a network card. So if you can't get online, can't get on the internet, then what I would suggest doing is plugging the actual Ethernet cable into your the back of your network card, so you're hardwired. Maybe you need to connect to your router via hardwire, or maybe you need to connect to a port on the wall in order to get yourself hardwired, linked up for your system. And then what you would do is you would right click on the Start menu and click on Device Manager. And when you click on Device Manager, what you're going to do is get all this list of drivers here, and you go through and find, let's just say it's your network adapter. I'm using that as an illustration, but depending on what your device is, you could do this with any of these devices. But click the network adapter and then right click on the actual driver and hit update driver. And when you do, it will go through the process of searching for that driver. Now usually you could also uninstall the driver if you wanted to, but the best thing to do is to just update the driver. Sometimes the Windows Update will find it, and sometimes this method will find it. And again, I would recommend having it hardwired. If all else fails and you can't get the driver after that, then what you could do is you could look up the specific piece of machinery. You could do this for your monitor, like this is a generic monitor driver, but let's just say you had a very specific monitor, you could look up the actual name of the monitor. So let's just say I did this. Let's just say I looked up this Intel Connection 7 i219V, and I already Googled that right here. So I actually Googled that into Google here, and then go down, and here it is, it's Intel's. So we click on their place. Oops, that's probably not the right one. Downloads, there we go. We click on their downloads feature here, and then we can find the one for Windows 10, which happens to be my operating system. They have different ones here. So Windows 10 network adapter, there's the driver, and I could download the driver and install it. Now if you can't download the actual driver on the machine you're on because it's the network card for whatever reason, you could download on a separate computer and then put it on a flash drive and bring it over to this computer, stick it in, and then install it again while having a hardwire connection, and then try to get it to fix itself. And then of course when you get done installing the driver, you need to restart the system again to make sure and see if it will come online. And usually at that point, it will work. If it doesn't work at that point, probably your network card might be potentially dead. But the same is true with graphics cards. Another huge driver thing. We constantly have to install drivers, especially on gaming PCs. I recommend Googling, 1660 Ti. Let's just say that's that's your graphics card, for instance. Going to NVIDIA's website and finding, their specific drivers that they have on their website. So I think they have, actually, that might not be, there we go. This might be the one. Okay, so you could just download a game-ready driver thing, and it will usually go through some steps and find your driver that you have. Once you install that piece of software, it'll probably be something like this right here, and then you could just check for updates. It will tell you if they have the latest driver, once you click the driver tab. So graphics cards a little bit different. You find the manufacturer, whether it be AMD or NVIDIA, who makes your graphics card, search for the driver. If you have a gaming PC, for instance. I mean, you could also use this way to do it here if you wanted to. If you wanted to right click and update the drivers for the graphics card or something like that. For the display, there we go, display adapters. I have an RTX 2060 in my system. If I right clicked, I could again update the driver. That's a way to do it. It's just sometimes it's better to go actually download the piece of software and install the driver before you know, fooling around with it, if that makes sense. So this is pretty much a couple ways to do drivers. The first thing I would do, again, restart the system. You never know what that can do. Second thing I would do would be check for Windows updates, assuming it's not a network adapter issue. If it is any other issue, you could right click on it and hit update the driver. If for whatever reason it's the wireless card but not the extra hardware, just plug it in hardwire and right click and try to solve the problem. If not, then you might have to download the driver on a separate PC, bring it over by searching for it on the web, and then install it and see if that fixes it, again restarting the system afterwards. So hopefully these types of things will help you solve driver issues, and hopefully you learned something today, and I will see you in the next video.